Hey, what's up? Hello, I hope you all are doing well. Today's video, a review of Taylor Jenkins Reid's Malibu Rising, is going to be potentially quite abbreviated because wherever you are in the Northern Hemisphere at least, you are probably, like me, going through quite a heat wave. Welcome climate change. You are still here. And as such, it is about 82 degrees Fahrenheit in this room right now. So I am counting the moments until I can turn my fans back on. So this might be a little more abbreviated than I would have liked. However, Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid is her latest novel. I believe it came out last year, 2021, and it follows the story of four siblings, the Rivas, Nina, Jay, Hud, and Kit, who are living in Malibu, California in 1983. And every year they throw a party. They are very, very wealthy, and this is apparently like the party to be seen at. Celebrities are there, things always get wild and out of hand. It's absolutely crazy. There's tons of alcohol, there are obviously drugs. It's just a really big deal. And this book takes place on the day of that party, from 7 a.m. in the morning of the party to 7 a.m. the morning after the party. And in the scope of 24 hours, things are wild, and if you read the inside flap, you will discover that the entire place where the party is being held goes up in flames. That's literal, not figurative. The place burns down. So like I said, this book follows these four siblings throughout the day. The book takes place over 24 hours, and it follows these siblings getting ready for the party, dealing with their own interpersonal problems, their own individual problems, as they prepare to welcome all of these guests. The book also follows their parents, Mick and June Riva, in a way that sort of tries to explain A, how the family got where it is, and B, the composition of the family. The style of this book rather follows what historical fiction does. Often it flips back and forth between a previous timeline, in this case the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, and present day, that one day in 1983. So you get both the perspective of Mick and June, the parents, how they met, their courtship, them having their children, and eventually the problems that that marriage has. And so in a way, while it is a book about a single day, you're actually getting about 30 or 40 years of backstory to the entire thing. I appreciated the style of this book in doing that, because if it had only been set in present day, I'm not actually sure there would have been enough to write about. With this, you get June's perspective of raising her children and the struggles that she went through to do that. You get Mick's perspective of why he chose June as his wife and how he struggled to maintain his family and his own singing career. Mick Riva is incredibly famous. He's sort of a Sinatra type singing superstar of the time, and he is predominantly the source of that family's money while June is raising their four children. Like many couples, they have a very complex marriage, but this is particularly fraught with challenges that I won't even begin to describe, and it has a lasting effect on all four of the children. I appreciated not only the back and forth between the present day and the past, but also, like I said, Mick and June's perspectives. I felt that if it hadn't offered those two perspectives and had just settled with one, it wouldn't have had the strength that it did. That you needed the balance of those two voices for this story to be strong. Additionally, you get different perspectives from the four children as well. This book, though, feels like it is predominantly about Nina, the eldest child, and June, the mother. This very much feels like Nina's story, her day to work through. Her home is the site of the party, and it very much feels like she and her mother are definitely caught in a loop of, you know, history might repeat itself in a number of ways, and it just very much felt like all of her siblings were auxiliary characters in her story. They each have their own thing going on, like something that defines them. Jay, the second child, is a primetime, like, professional surfer. He's very popular, he's very successful, he's just a big celebrity. His brother, their brother, Hud, or Hudson is his full name, photographs him while he is surfing, and so he is sort of not equal but similar popularity for his photography of his brother surfing. All four of these characters are surfers on the Malibu coast, and their youngest sister, Kit, is a surfer with incredible sort of prowess at the sport that I think her brothers are probably trying to ignore. And so the three of them have sort of these things that are going on with them. Hud is embroiled in a little bit of personal romance drama. Kit is trying to just figure out who she is and her place in these three other really popular, really famous people. Like I said, Jay is a professional surfer, and Nina was a professional surfer but is also a model, and she has had an extremely public, very well publicized, dramatic divorce from her husband. And so she's struggling with that throughout the book, and Kit is feeling a little overshadowed, I think, by all four of them. The book, like I said before, very much seems to me to focus on Nina and Nina's like own personal mental health redemption arc, if you will, with the other three sort of playing supporting roles. Like I said in the beginning, I feel like the plot, the one day piece of the plot is an interesting idea. If that had been stuck to as the only plot, if we only got what was happening going on in 1983, there perhaps would have been the possibility to add more depth to the three younger siblings. But I'm not sure that the story, necessarily needed that based on its focus on Nina. And I'm not sure that there would have been enough going on in just sort of like living out the day, preparing for a party as a bunch of rich people to really make it worthwhile to read. I think it definitely needed that look back in time to tell the story in a matter of years, to talk about how this family wound up where it is. To not have that sort of back in time perspective would have just made everything so overdramatic. And the book gets overdramatic enough in the final chapters while the party is going on that it's totally unnecessary to do that for the rest of the novel. I did really enjoy the book's setting of Malibu. It's described by one of the characters as just sort of a place where people live their lives. It happened to be on the beach, and then rich people discovered that it was easy to go to there and build an enormous house and fill that area with wealth, which is sort of how all of us know of it today. But it reminded me of sort of Long Island in New York, that area where it was just a bunch of people living their lives in a specific place, and then suddenly the Hamptons became the Hamptons as we know them, and the entire vibe of it changed. So there is that reflection by some of the characters on how they wish Malibu used to be like the one that they knew and the old one, and we just had this small house and this is what it was, and here's where we lived, and we lived by the beach, and it was just because the beach was right there, not that we tried to, quote, live by the beach the way that the folks with the money do. Overall, I thought the story was perfectly fine. I think I probably enjoyed the pieces that were looking back on how the family came to be more than I did the ones that were going on in the present day in 1983. And the ending of this book, like I mentioned, lots of drama happening, as you might imagine, in a party quite like that. And overall, I would have given the book, I think, 3.5 stars. It's not my favorite piece of Taylor Jenkins Reid's work. I've also read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I really enjoyed, and also Daisy Jones and the Six, which I really enjoyed, perhaps even more. I think mostly because of the content. That book, I think, takes a lot from the wild misadventures of Fleetwood Mac, and as someone who has listened to that band and knows a lot about them, I think that book just had more general appeal to me than a story of a surfing family in California. I read some interesting sort of polar opposite reviews of this book, although general criticism from fans has been quite favorable. So if you've read this book, let me know what you think in the comments. I would be very interested to hear. As always, thank you so much for watching. Anything that you want to know about us is probably in the description. I hope you're having lovely weeks and lovely lives, and we will see you very soon.